Hey everybody, East Coast Reefer, here to take you through my reef keeping journey through the highs and the lows, some of the learnings, hopefully save you some effort in the future. And today I'm going to talk to you about some of the equipment I've bought, was it worth it, and maybe some equipment that I bought but I felt wasn't worth it, and maybe I can save you some hassle. So starting off with probably the most important, which I didn't think of when I first started, and that is these packing wedges. And there's some that are really small. I think you can see that there, and the other ones that are much wider. And these I just used to level my tank. So when I bought my first tank and set it up, it wasn't level, and I didn't really run into any problems, but it's not what you want long term, particularly on bigger tanks. If you have it leaning forwards, you're putting a lot more weight on this front piece of glass, so failure of seams and things like that far more likely. So yeah, really important one, wedges. These I got on Amazon. They were like £6, £7, like $10, something like that. Just don't even think about it, buy them. Really simple. What next? So super glue. Definitely need super glue for sticking your corals and stuff in place. However, not all of them are suitable. So this, just a generic off-brand super glue, but this is a liquid super glue and definitely not what you want. It says gel formula on it, but it's really runny. So you want to try and avoid the runny super glues because it just goes all over everything when you're trying to stick it on. What you really want is more of a gel one. Again, a complete no brand super glue, but proper gel format, and it makes a huge difference. So, one here, don't buy liquid super glue, buy gel super glue. And then your other alternative is this kind of 2-pack epoxy 2-part mixture that you can mix up into a putty. Really good, but takes quite a while to set. So you hear people talking about the sandwich. So they'll mix up this because it kind of conforms to the shape of items really nicely. But they'll put this in the middle of the sandwich with super glue gel either side of it, and that works really well as well. And again, really pretty cheap. I think this is D&D brand, and it was I don't know, £12 or $15, something like that. But again, something that's just buy it. Another one, if you're wanting to take pictures of your tank, when you get the blue lights on in the evening, having a lens that you can stick on your phone is really great. Just to take all that blue light out and give it a bit more of a true colour. And again, something that's pretty cheap, definitely worth getting. Next, I've got a pH pen and some other testers here, and we'll talk about the other ones in a minute, but this pH pen, and I've got a TDS pen as well. They're dirt cheap, and they're much easier than messing around with liquids, and maybe they're not as accurate, but yeah, I've had no problems with them. So I've got a TDS meter and this pH pen. Next, what we'll do next, we'll do this AquaForest Lifesource. Now, I didn't actually go out to buy this. I bought a bundle of marine equipment that someone was selling secondhand, and it came with a load of this. And I was quite sceptical at first, mud from Fiji, and why would I want to put that in my tank? But I put it in my Aqua One Mini 120, and it was really good. So it really brought on the aging process much quicker. So getting the tank kind of bedded in and matured a bit. I felt, could be selling you snake oil here, but I felt, in my opinion, that made quite a big difference. So definitely something I'd recommend. When I moved over to this tank, it was a second-hand tank, so it had matured, and I put all the used rock and everything in it. But it's, you know, getting it back up to that stage again. I didn't put any of this mud in to start with, and I've recently gone back to putting it back in because I didn't feel that the tank was maturing as quickly as the other one did. So I went out and bought, started putting that back in. I will buy more when that runs out. I think it's definitely worth it. They've all been things that I think you should buy at the moment. So moving on to something that I don't think it's useless. I don't think it's bad. I just don't think you need to rush out and buy one. I bought this second hand, just someone locally was selling one and I thought, why not? I got it quite cheap. It's a Senai sensor, but I only really bought it for the par meter. So it's got a par meter built in that. Set the software up. Bit of a faff changing ownership and things, but once you've set it up, connect it to your computer, hold it at different areas where you're going to put coral, and it will tell you what the light's like in those areas. So handy, but I think you're better off putting a coral somewhere and seeing how it does and moving it round until you find somewhere it likes than properly relying on something like that. It's a good indicator, good information, but you're better off using your eye and looking where things thrive the most. Which kind of brings me on to the last item, which are these Hannah checkers, and they're not cheap. Again, I picked mine up second hand. They were about £40, $55 each, second hand, and then you have to buy reagents and things for them. But they're just so much easier than trying to interpret what shade of purple that is and how much nitrates is in there. You know, what colour green is that? I'm not quite sure. You're kind of holding it up against a chart. This just gives you a number, a digital number. The only thing I will say is with the phosphate, I got the parts per billion version to start with. I thought, hey, why would you not want it more accurate? And maybe foolishly, to convert from parts per billion to parts per million, I used a factor of 1,000 to kind of convert between the two, and that's not the right number. So for a while I was reading my phosphate, and I believe it's called phosphorus, the parts per billion one. So it's the same colour, but it says phosphorus ultra low range rather than phosphate ultra low range. Hold me to that. I'm pretty sure that's right though. But definitely in the brackets afterwards here, it will say ppb rather than ppm. So this is the parts per million, not the parts per billion. I used the wrong conversion factor. For simplicity, because everybody measures in parts per million, I just bought the parts per million one, and I find it fine. I use this, and I also supplement with every few months I'll send off an ICP test just to kind of go through and make sure, sense check all my results, make sure everything is where it should be. I hope that's been useful. Can't think of anything else. I was expecting to have a lot more things that I could say, yeah, don't waste your money on this, it's not worth getting. But most of the things I've bought I use. This is just a highlight of the things that I think you probably need sooner rather than later. They definitely made my life easier. But yeah, I hope that's helpful. If it has been helpful, please like, subscribe, share to someone else that might find this useful. Any support for the channel you can offer is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.